Today we are drafting Dynasty Cornerstone assets. Every time we do a Cornerstone video, it's like, well, what is a Cornerstone? What does that even mean? Where is Jalen Waddle on this list? Jalen Waddle is 25 years old. If players are 24 or younger, they're on this list. If they're 25 or older, they're not on this list. So that is what we use to define the term Cornerstone asset. It's literally just an age cutoff. Don't think into it too much. But let's draft all of the Cornerstone assets, including the 2024 rookies, and see how this sorts out. I'll let you start with the 101 here.
Justin Jefferson, best wide receiver, second best wide receiver in the NFL today. Tyreek is the best currently. But he's about to get a ridiculous contract. He's still 24 years old. I don't really care about the uncertainty at the quarterback position long term in Minnesota. He transcends. I mean, you just saw him put up like 17, 18 points with Nick Mullins at quarterback.
Yeah.
So he's fine.
I'm going to take Jamar Chase at the 102. I do still think that there's a pretty big teardrop after Justin Jefferson, but Jamar Chase in that situation, in that offense with Joe Burrow, although one of them has been hurt pretty consistently the last year and a half, I do still believe in Jamar Chase as a receiving talent, and I do think that he is the second best wide receiver under 25 years old when he is healthy and Joe Burrow is healthy. So give me Jamar Chase at the 102. I still think I'm going to have him here.
Yeah, and at the 103, I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb still. I think he's really solidified himself as the third best wide receiver in Dynasty Fantasy Football. He's had another great year. Yeah, he's going to have some down weeks. That's going to happen really for most wide receivers not named J. Jeff in the NFL, but he is just in such a great situation long term. He's going to get paid this offseason, still only 24 years old. Like, he is so ridiculously young. Like these guys above him, he just totally deserving of being here at the 103. He's going at the 1-2 turn, consistently has been for the last 3 seasons.
At the 104, I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. This is a pretty easy argument for me. Marvin Harrison Jr. right now is mocked in the top 3 in pretty much every mock draft. If he gets top 3 draft capital, it doesn't super matter where he goes. I guess the only thing that could potentially knock him down if he were to go to the Bears and they keep Justin Fields, that would probably hurt his stock a little bit. However, with Marvin Harrison Jr., he's considered one of the better wide receiver prospects in recent years, in the last decade, honestly. And if he does get that kind of draft capital, he's going to have value insulation on value insulation at the most value insulated position there is in Dynasty. So give me Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm comfortable taking him over these next guys, which are also very talented. So
I'll give you the 105 too, because why not?
Yeah. I'll do Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra this year is averaging 19.5 points per game. He is the wide receiver 6 on the year. He is playing in one of the highest powered offenses and the highest passing volume offenses in the NFL. He's only 24 years old. There's absolutely no reason to have Amon-Ra any lower than this in any set of rankings ever. It doesn't matter what potential guys are. Amon-Ra's producing, and he's young. I mean, he's the combination of age and production that we look for in Dynasty. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is a stud. He is a star wide receiver, and he is one of the best assets for your Dynasty team. I'll take him here at the 105.
Yeah, good pick. I'm going to go Bijan Robinson at the 106. I can't let him sit off this board for much longer. So this is where I think he belongs. The running back 1 in Dynasty still, in my opinion. Jahmyr Gibbs is actually probably closer than some people want to admit right now, but I still believe that Bijan Robinson has greater upside, and once Arthur Smith is gone, I believe this offseason, they're finally going to use their weapons in Atlanta. Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, has said and alluded to evaluating everything once we get to the end of the year. To me, that's a death sentence for Arthur Smith. The intention when they hired him was for it to be a 3-year process. This is Arthur Smith's 3rd year, and he is no better. The team is no better off now than they were when they hired him 3 seasons ago. Blank, the owner, is literally like 82 years old now. He's not patient. I don't blame him. Like, they're not using their weapons. So Bijan Robinson, when he gets the ball, is electric. He's amazing. He's what we thought he would be as a talent going into the NFL. He just isn't getting the opportunity right now. Tyler Algier is like out-touching him, which is that's a crime. That's an absolute crime. That's not going to happen again in his 2nd season. And then I am calling an audible here. I'm going the 108. I'm going with Puka, or the 107. I'm going with Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua, the wide receiver, according to this list, 6. Personally, I think there's an argument to have him as a wide receiver 4 overall in Dynasty Fantasy Football. He is a 5th-round rookie who is 129 yards away from breaking Jamar Chase's single-season receiving yards record. He's already shattered the target and reception record. And here's my biggest reasoning for it. And I'm going to ask you a hypothetical question to really all you viewers to really get my point across. If Jackson Smith-Njigba, the dynasty darling of last season at the wide receiver position, if his rookie season had put up the numbers that Puka is right now, where would you rank him among dynasty wide receivers?
Top 3.
Easy. I personally, if JSN had done that this year, I would have put him above Jamar Chase. The fact that Puka Nacua, we're only ranking him wide receiver 6 in these Cornerstone rankings there is a massive argument to be made that that's too low. We are, in my opinion, still being conservative, and for some reason, this is going to be aggressive, according to you viewers, some viewers.
Let us know what you think. I'm interested.
Yeah. Some people are going to say the situation is too much up in the air. There's more than half the situations in the NFL are up in the air, and we're not shorting Justin Jefferson because of it. True. We're not shorting Marvin Harrison, even though he could potentially end up in Chicago.
I mean, Bijan's on the Falcons, and he's ahead of Puka.
I mean, heck, put Puka over Bijan here. If you wanted to, I'd be completely fine with that. We got to give Puka the respect he deserves. I feel like a lot of the reason he's being shorted and people haven't adjusted yet is just because we don't like admitting when we were wrong. We were wrong on Puka, just like the NFL was. Yeah. We were wrong on Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy won't win the MVP because of it. Humans vote for MVP, and they don't want to admit that they were wrong on Brock Purdy.
You don't think Purdy's winning MVP?
I'd love to see him win MVP, but since we, you know of some of the people that are voting for MVP,
yeah,
and you know how ridiculous they are.
True.
I don't trust them to correctly select the MVP this year.
All right.
I hope it's Brock Purdy, but I think there's a significant chance that there's not. There's too much hate for him and just saying that it's all CMC.
All right, at the 108, I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs in his rookie season is 6th in points per game at the running back position. He's averaging 17 points per game, which is a very, very good clip compared to what he was doing earlier in the season. And in our last Cornerstone Rankings video, we had him way down because he really wasn't doing anything. David Montgomery was taking all the opportunity. And honestly, since then, he has been on a tear, and we love to see it. We've been very high on Jahmyr Gibbs since he came out of college. He's 7th in targets among running backs. He is 7th in target shares, 10th in routes run. He is 4th in true yards per carry. That's an on-the-ground stat. 16 yards per touch. 2nd in breakaway run rate.
Wow.
I mean, you could put him higher on this list, and I'd be okay with it. Honestly, I think there's a big tier here with Gibbs and Nacua and Robinson and Amon-Ra and maybe even Marvin Harrison.
Like, where you could
move them around
You could
anywhere.
put Gibbs as high as 104, Puka as high as 104, and I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So Jahmyr Gibbs looking really, really fantastic this rookie season. So I'm excited to move him back up, and I'm excited to take him here at the 108.
Yeah, this puts me in a tough spot here. I am going to go with... Man, this is tough. I'm going to stick with Garrett Wilson. Right. I think Garrett Wilson has been one of the most under what he's done this season, which from a fantasy perspective has not been incredible. True. It's been one of the most under-celebrated, unspoken things that's gone on this season. That's been like one of the most impressive feats that I've ever seen. For as historically bad as the Jets offense has been, Garrett Wilson has remained a competent fantasy asset. And he's transcended the situation like that. That is what great wide receivers do. And yeah, he's not transcending situation like Jamar Chase has. He's not transcending situation like Justin Jefferson has. That's why we're going to take Garrett Wilson at the 109, not at the top of this list like we would have had him last season. That said, he shouldn't fall any further than this because we knew that even before Rodgers went down with the injury that there was going to be long-term questions with the Jets' offensive situation. That hasn't changed. So I still like Garrett Wilson a lot. He's deserving to hear at the 109.
I'm going to take Malik Neighbors next. And a lot of people will argue that Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. could be in the same tier for rookie wide receiver rankings this year.
We could get to that.
Now, right now, there's a 6-spot difference between them in this mock draft in particular. That could be a lot closer. Again, Malik Neighbors is a guy I would consider that could go pretty much anywhere on this list, and I would probably be okay with it. I don't think he's as sure of a thing as Marvin Harrison Jr. in terms of I don't think he's going to get top 5 draft capital like Marvin Harrison will. But if he gets top 10 draft capital, I mean, you're talking about Malik Neighbors easily going here. Again, with the rookies, this is all speculation until they're actually drafted, until they have landing spots, until all of that plays out. But it's fun to speculate. That's why we're here. We're here to create content. So we're going to put these rookies in here. He had 1,546 yards this season on a 22% target share. He had 14 touchdowns. He is nothing short of spectacular. I'm excited to see him get in the league, and I'm really excited to be able to draft him in some dynasty drafts. I'll take Malik Neighbors here at the 110.
Yep, and I'm gonna go with Chris Olave here. After Malik Neighbors at the 111. I think that in a situation that hasn't gotten better in New Orleans offensively, Olave has continued to transcend that situation, and I mean, he's been a straight up must start in this playoff stretch at the end of this year. And he doesn't require touchdowns. He's not touchdown dependent. He gets so many targets, so many receptions. He does so much with that yardage wise with that opportunity. I think that sooner rather than later, New Orleans is going to have to move on from Derek Carr. Despite the contract, they're just going to have to eat it at some point. And I think when that happens, Chris Olave is going to take an even greater step in his game, and he's only getting better year after year.
I totally agree with that. I'm going to take the tight end one here, and I'm going to take Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is the tight end one in Dynasty Fantasy Football. He's been spectacular in his rookie season, 15 fantasy points per game, and that's a non-tight end premium league, so even more in tight end premium leagues. He's 4th in air yards. He's 5th in targets. He's 8th in target share, 7th in target rate, 7th in snap share. He is 6th in routes run. He is 8th in yards per route run. He's 10th in yards per target. This guy, he's 4th in dominator rating. This guy has been ridiculous and extremely efficient. 3rd in fantasy points per target. That's very good. Sam Laporta, obviously just being a rookie, he fits that scheme very well. He fits that offense very well. That situation looks good for him. So I am very confident taking the tight end one in Dynasty here at the 112 in this mock draft.
This is our mock draft, and this might be unpopular, but I don't care. It's our mock draft. So I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor here as the 3rd running back off the board, I believe, here at the 201. And I'm very confident in this. Personally, a lot of people are going to say, hey, you should take Breece Hall easily over Jonathan Taylor. He's younger. He's a better running back. He's got a better receiving skill set. Sure, I see the argument. I just disagree. I mean, if you ask me who was going to score more fantasy points over the next couple seasons between JT or Breece Hall, I would say Jonathan Taylor quite easily. I think the offensive situation in Indy over the next few years is going to be way better than the offensive situation for Breece Hall in New York. Not to mention, once Aaron Rodgers retires, if it's going to look like what it is right now without Rodgers, that's not good news for Breece Hall, because he's been okay, but not nearly what you expected him to be, not what you wanted him to be, not to mention he's got that ACL injury that he's still recovering from. Jonathan Taylor has a 3-year deal playing alongside Anthony Richardson. Not all defensive eyes are going to be on JT. They're going to have to worry about the dual threat quarterback with the elite running back. I love that situation for Jonathan Taylor long term.
So that leaves me to take Breece Hall with the next pick, and I think Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor, both of us would agree, are probably in the same tier here. But Breece Hall this year, some encouraging stats from him. He's 2nd in targets among running backs. He's 4th in receiving yards. He's 3rd in receptions. He's 6th in target share, 7th in routes run. So that's a lot of receiving usage from Breece Hall, and that's what you want to see. That's what's going to translate to PPR points in this modern day NFL. He is also fairly efficient. He's 11th in yards per touch. He's 3rd in juke rate. He's 2nd in evaded tackles. He is 11th in yards created. He's 3rd in dominator rating. He's just been good. Even though he's coming off an ACL tear, he's still very young. He's 22 and a half years old right now. This is a guy that's going to be, I mean, honestly, again, we're splitting hairs between all these guys. Breece Hall, you could say, okay, I want to pick him at the 108 instead of Jahmyr Gibbs or the 109.
Yep.
We're totally fine with that.
Yep.
It's just the way we're taking him today. I think Breece Hall is very special. I do think the situation gets better there. I think they might fire Saleh and Aaron Rodgers.
You think they will?
I think they might. I'm not sure they will, though.
You don't think they're going to give him a mulligan?
I don't know.
I think they're stupid for doing it. I think they should fire him. I would love to see that.
Either way, I still believe in Breece Hall, the talent, and I think he's going to be very fantasy productive in the coming years.
Yep, I'm going to take Rome Odunze next, another rookie. Really, in my opinion, probably the 3rd best wide receiver in this class. Definitely a teardrop from MHJ and Neighbors to Odunze, just because he's a 4th-year declare and all that. But over the last 2 seasons at Washington, playing with Michael Penix, granted, he's had over 1,000 yards respectively for each, with a ridiculous catch rate, a ridiculous target rate, and he's there's nothing on film that I've seen from Rome Odunze that I like, that I dislike. That I said that I like, dislike. I love Rome Odunze. He's my guy in this year's class. I think if you already don't know who he is, which I think there's a lot of hype building up for this guy, can't wait to see what he does at the combine. I think his draft stock is going to increase significantly as we get closer to the NFL draft.
I like getting JS in here. And I honestly think JSN is a pretty good value in Dynasty startup drafts this offseason. He was a good rebuild piece when you're acquiring him mid-season last year. And JSN, as of recent, you saw the over-the-head touchdown catch to win the game in his last game. He has been turning it on as of late. This year, he's 11th in slot snaps, and that's really what we knew JSN was going to do coming into the NFL. It's really nice to see him get that kind of volume. It hasn't necessarily translated to elite production yet, but that's because he's playing alongside two very good veteran wide receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. We predict that Tyler Lockett probably not going to be in Seattle next year, and when that does happen, JSN is going to be able to step into his own. He's 7th in target separation, 10th in average cushion. He's been fairly efficient this year with the very limited opportunity that he has gotten. We expect that opportunity to go up. We expect the touchdowns to go up. And JSN still projects as a very good wide receiver in the NFL and a very good prospect for your dynasty team. So happy to get him here at the 204.
Jordan Addison is going to be my guy here. Jordan Addison, I feel like is I want to say Devontae Smith, but with a higher ceiling when it comes to total points throughout an entire year because of the passing volume in Minnesota that's going to be offered by Kirk Cousins, who I believe is going to re-sign there for a significant amount of time. I think they're dumb if they don't. I think Jordan Addison as a rookie, again, has been incredible, and he is the perfect complementary piece to Justin Jefferson. Yes, he doesn't have the ceiling that some of the guys after Addison in this mock draft will have, but he is so incredibly safe, and he is so just certain of producing there consistently on a week-to-week basis, on a season-to-season basis for the foreseeable future. Absolutely love the guy as a prospect, as a rookie, and really love his outlook for the future.
All right, for my next pick here at the 206, I'm going to go with Kyren Williams, actually. This is interesting, and I think we're going to have to adjust a little bit in our own personal rankings here, but Kyren Williams really has been extremely good this year. In points per game, Kyren Williams is averaging 21 points per game this year. 21. That's insane. He's 4th in red zone touches. He's 1st in snap share. He's 4th in rushing yards. He's 8th in routes run, 4th in route participations. They're also getting some good work in the receiving game. 9th in true yards per carry, 10th in yards per touch, 8th in evaded tackles, 8th in juke rate. He's top 10 in nearly every efficiency metric.
Yeah,
he's been
crazy.
Really good. He just turned 23 years old. Obviously, last year we saw him come out and he was kind of a sleeper. This year he is winning redrafts and dynasty leagues alike. So Kyren Williams is somebody that we are absolutely monitoring going forward. I think this is going to end up being a really good value this offseason in Dynasty unless he jumps up to like the second round. I think you're going to get fairly good prices on him. So Kyren Williams, who I'm going to take here. Again, the situation, a little bit scared of it, but in a market where there's not a lot of running back talent in the NFL right now, I think Kyren Williams is actually a bright spot, and I'm going to take Kyren Williams here.
Yep, and Drake London I'm going to go with next. I think with the assumption that Arthur Smith gets fired at the end of the season, like I spoke about with Bijan Robinson earlier, I think you have to apply the same logic to Drake London. I think he's the second best playmaker in the Falcons offense, and if they draft a Michael Penix, if they draft a Bo Nix, that is automatically a huge upgrade from what they've had at the quarterback position for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and I think Drake London's going to reap the benefits of that. Don't look at his stat line his second season. I think you're going to have a lot of statistical analysis going on this year where it's like, you know, receivers that did this their rookie year and then their second year, here's their success rate long term. You can seriously throw it out the window with Drake London. If you have seen Drake London play this year, especially the big games that he's had, have been because of him. Like almost every ball thrown to him is an interception waiting to happen, and he's just like, nah, it's mine. And he'll just moss corners and just absolutely rob them of free interceptions. It's been, in my opinion, the second or third most disgusting offense in the NFL this year. I cannot stand it. And I think it's going to be great for London to have an actual offense next year.
I think a lot of people are going to say we have this guy too low, but I'm going to take Travis Etienne here finally. Travis Etienne is just under 25 years old, but there are some things this year that you have to look at to consider him even being higher than this. He's 6th in snap share and opportunity share. He's 2nd in weighted opportunities. That's been the big story with Etienne is he's gotten so much volume, but he's 7th in fantasy points per game, 17 points per game from him. He is 9th in rushing yards, 6th in receiving yards, 6th in receptions, 5th in touchdowns. He is 54th in true yards per carry. So if you want to act like there's no question marks with Travis Etienne, I would point you to some of the efficiency metrics that suggest that, especially on the ground, there are some big issues. However, again, you see the receptions in top 5 in routes run. He's top 5 in receiving yards and also in receptions. 3rd in yards created. I think Travis Etienne has shown enough in the receiving game, just like Jahmyr Gibbs, just like Breece Hall, to where he needs to be on this list. He could even be higher. But again, there are some questions that we have with Travis Etienne. That being said, Travis Etienne could go anywhere in the second round here. I'd be fine with it. He's a pretty good value here at the 2.8, I think.
All right, I'm going to go with Brock Bowers here next, who I think he'll probably solidify himself as a top 4 dynasty tight end when it's all said and done. So in these Cornerstone rankings, he's absolutely deserving here to be at the tail end of our second round in our mock draft of these Cornerstone guys. He's been ridiculous at Georgia. Everyone knows his name. Everyone knows what he's been doing. I don't have to talk about it again in this video because it's just a mock draft. It's for fun. But I'm super excited to see his landing spot, and there's a chance that he moves up these boards significantly because I think he's going to be one of those immediate impact guys, kind of like, hopefully, like a Sam Laporta his rookie season.
All right, so at the 210, I'm going to take Devon Achane here. And Devon Achane, obviously, he's had a very explosive rookie season. In the limited sample size we've seen, he's been very good. 2nd in the league in fantasy points per opportunity. 4th in fantasy points per game at 18.7 points per game. He obviously hasn't gotten a ton of volume because he hasn't played the whole season because he was hurt for a while. He went on IR. But he's 1st in true yards per carry, 1st in yards per touch, 2nd in juke rate, 1st in breakaway run rate, 3rd in yards created per touch. I mean, guys, yeah, you have to take him here. Obviously, when we want to see an entire season of Devon Achane with good volume and without him getting hurt. Those are the 2 huge questions right now. Don't act like there aren't any questions with Devon Achane, but man, if he can do it at this rate or even like half of this rate, holy smokes. So I'll take Devon Achane here. All
right, next pick here, I'm going to take Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid has in splurts, like I said about Treylon Burks last year, he has shown elite receiving capability just in terms of volume. And with Gabe Davis out the door, yeah, Gabe Davis and Dalton Kincaid don't play the same type of receiver when they're lining up as receivers. But that said, I think that's just going to open up more opportunity again from a target volume perspective for Dalton Kincaid. And he's shown it. I mean, he had like a 6-game stretch there of like 8 or more targets. And he was super, super reliable. And this has just been a weird year for Buffalo where we kind of expected them to take a step back. They did. Now they're kind of making a run here. And it's honestly because of their run game and James Cook. But Dalton Kincaid is one of those guys that I think he has the upside of like I don't want to say Travis Kelce because Travis Kelce is like 1 of 1, but maybe like a tier below that. And that after Travis Kelce retires could potentially be the tight end 1 in Dynasty. I really like him, love his situation. I think he's perfect in the Bills offense for Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs isn't getting any younger. Gabe Davis out the door. I just love it.
I'll take Zay Flowers here with the last pick. There's a ton of different guys, honestly, I think could go
there
here.
Are a lot.
Like a ton. It just seems like all these guys are in the same tier. But Zay Flowers, he tend to flash the most his rookie season. So playing with Lamar Jackson, being in that Ravens system, I'll take him over the next couple of years. And then some guys that just barely didn't make the cut.
Yeah, you do a shout out, I'll do a shout out.
Well, I'm gonna read all the guys actually, because I just want you to hear who we're considering. All of these guys would be right up here with the rest of them. Josh Downs, Rashee Rice, Nico Collins, Jaden Reed, T. Higgins,
Tank Dell.
Yeah, where'd Tank Dell? Oh yeah,
Tank Dell was very close.
I almost picked Tank Dell.
Yep.
Kenneth Walker obviously could also be on this list. He's just right outside here. Javonte Williams, James Cook, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Pitts, surprisingly, and Trey McBride. But again, I'm only ranking 24 of these guys. Egbuka, Henderson, Coleman, Franklin Worthy, all the rookies. So again, there's a lot of guys that could be on this list, and they would surely be in the top 36. But this is, a very crowded age range and a lot of very talented players.
This was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
It was very
honestly.
Hard.
I paused like 5 different times because it was
very hard. And honestly, you could take any of these like 36 players that I just mentioned and put them in any order, and we're totally cool with that. We just drafted them like this today. Yeah. We'd probably draft them like this in a startup draft, fairly close to this, but again, kind of a fun video idea. Do us a huge favor. Make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you head over to flockfantasy.com/domain. When you use code domain and choose the mother flock tree, you get one of these. Team Blueprint. We're going to do a team blueprint for you, and we're going to give you a multi-year plan for your dynasty team, help you rebuild your dynasty team, help you reload, help you to contend, but all have the same goal. win your league. That's what we're trying to help you do. Use code DOMAIN and also Mother Flockager. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you later.